In this video, let us learn array in Core Java. So in Core Java, array is used to store multiple elements. In a variable, we can store only one value at a time. If you would like to store one more value, the previous value will be erased, only the current value will be stored. Suppose we would like to store multiple values. For that purpose, we need to prefer an array. So what is the main purpose of array? It is used to store multiple elements. Each element stores based on the index. So each elements are storing in an array based on the index. In the array, the index always starts with 0. So the array can store size minus 1 elements. It means if the array size is 10, it can store 10 elements but starts with 0 and ends with the index called 9. In Java, array is homogeneous. So it means it will store only the same data type. Suppose you have created an array as int data type. Apart from numbers, we can't able to store any other data type. If the array data type is character, only the character values we can able to store. If the array data type is string, only string values we can store it. And some of the characteristics of array. It is a fixed size. So once, especially in Java, once array is created, at any point during runtime, we can't able to increase or decrease the size of the array. The indexed access, it means elements are stored in array based on the index wise. So the index always starts with 0. It means the first element is at index 0, the second element is at index 1, the third element is stores based on the index 2 and so on. And next one, objects. Arrays in Java are objects because we are using a new operator for creating an array. So if we can use a new operator, it allocates memory. So that particular object will be stored in a heap memory. So array is also an object. So array has one more property called length property. By using length property, we can find the number of elements available in the array. So the types of array in Core Java. There are two types, a single dimensional array and a two-dimensional array. The single dimensional array is nothing but, suppose if we can take single dimensional, this is the way we can able to declare the array. This is the integer array. So int a rectangular bracket, a is the array name, int is the data type, is equal to new is the operator. This operator allocates memory to our array called a. And int 4, the right hand side 4 indicates the size of the array is 4. It means how many elements it will store? 4 elements only, but 0 to 3. So here in the 0th index, we are just storing some element. Any element we can able to store number. I just showing as a 10, and one index it is storing 20 element value called 20, and third index it is storing the value called 30, and fourth index it is to fourth means 0 1 2 3. So in our case first index is nothing but 0, okay, and in the last index it is storing the value called 40. It means array size is 4, it is start with 0 index and it ends with 3. So it will store size minus 1 element. If I can try to store one more extra element, so 4, index called 4, if I can store 50, it provides array index out of bound exception. And single dimensional array, it stores elements single column, multiple rows. The single dimensional array represents which one? So I would like to write here one more time. Single dimensional array, it represents single column and multiple rows. The single dimensional array represents a single column but multiple rows. So now we will discuss about how to declare 1D array. Suppose we would like to declare byte array. So any primitive and derived, any data type we can provide. If it is a byte array, byte is equal to new byte of 3. So this array data type is byte. It can store 3 elements 0 to 2. So short is equal to new short of 4. It can store any size you can provide. That depending upon the size, it will store the elements. So we are just exploring. So with respect to each data type, either it can be primitive or derived, how to declare one dimensional array or single dimensional array. If it is int a is equal to new int of 4, so then it will store the elements, 4 elements we can able to store. It means 0 to 3. And long b is equal to new long of 5. It will store how many elements? 5 elements 0 to 4. And next one called float f is equal to new float of 4. It can store elements 4 elements 0 to 3. Double d is equal to new double of 5. It can store how many elements? 5 elements. The float and double we can store decimal values. Okay. Next one called boolean bb is equal to new boolean of, I just provided 4, or just you can provide 2. So it will store elements true or false. Okay. Next one called character is equal to new character of 5. So it can store the character data. So these comes under the primitive data type. Based on the primitive data type also, we can create or declare one dimensional array. If it is a derived type, suppose string, str is equal to new string of 4, then this is comes, string is a class. So we can able to store 4 elements we can able to store. Starts with 0 and ends with 3. 0 to 3 elements we can store. The single dimensional array we can able to declare in one more approach. What is the one more approach means? You can provide rectangular bracket in front of the which one? String data type. Also we can just provide, or in front of the name of the array. So the both are valid syntax only. Either you can use this particular syntax or you can use this particular syntax. Both are valid. This is not only for string, irrespective of any data type. It can be primitive data type or any data type. The rectangular brackets either you can use in the left hand side. Rectangular brackets you can use in front of the array name or in front of the data type. So now, okay, we will open the IntelliJ tool and we can start discussing about the n number of cases which are belongs to our single dimensional array. First we can go with the case 1. Case 1, how to declare 1D array, means single dimensional array. How to assign elements to 1D array, and how to display elements from the array. How to read elements from array. So now we can explore about this particular case. So for that purpose, in the IntelliJ we can create one more package. The package was single dimensional array. The package name is single dimensional array. So now we need to create a class array demo. So single dimensional array demo will provide single dimensional array 1 dot java. Okay, we can provide the main method. First we need to copy paste the same case. What is the case name? How to declare single dimensional array and how to assign elements. First declare means first we can take one integer array. So arr is equal to new int of 4. Then how many elements we can able to store? Assign only 4 elements we can assign elements. So we can able to assign elements from 0 to 3 index. So it will become a 4 elements. arr of 0. So it will be 100. arr of 1. We are storing 200, 300, 400. The 4 elements we are assigning into an array. Now if we can execute, it works fine. It won't provide any output. Suppose if I can try to store one more extra element, arr of 4 is equal to 500. So the size of the array is 4. It will store only the 4 elements 0 to 3. If I can try to store an extra element, it provides an exception, runtime exception, array index out of bounds exception. So just we'll remove this particular extra element. The next one, we will perform read elements. Read elements from array. How we can able to read the elements means arr of 0. It read the first element. Similar way, we can try to read second element, third element. So you can just provide the index card 0, 1, 2, 3. If I can execute, yes, we can read elements from the array. So in this case, we have learned how to declare an integer array, how to assign elements into an array, and how to read elements from the array. Yes, we have learned. In the case 2, so before moving to the case 2, first we are investigate this first case 1. When you can observe this particular case 1, suppose if my array size is 400, then how many lines I need to write here for reading the elements? 400 lines I need to write. This is not a right approach. Okay, writing the multiple system.out.println. Which is the best approach? We should apply the looping statement. So case 2, read elements from array using looping statement. Any looping statement you can use it. So we can create one more source file. So new Java class .java, and we need to specify the main method because main is an entry point. We need to specify the case 2. Okay, now we can declare the same array and we can assign the same elements. We can declare the same array and same elements, but we need to read the elements now. Read elements. While reading the elements, we should apply the for loop. For int I is equal to 0. What is the purpose we are given I is equal to 0? Because the array index always starts with 0. I less than 4 I just provided. Because we have a 4 elements, that's the reason I given less than 4, not less than equal to. And now we can print arr of I value because I is taking care about 0, 1, 2. In this index it's reading. So now if we can execute, we can read the element from the array. But here, instead of specifying the 4, because I specified 4 because I know the size of the array is 4. Instead of specifying the 4, we can specify there is a property called length property. This length property provides the number of elements in the array. So now if we can execute, it will print elements from the array. So instead of hard coding the size of the array, we should use the length property, array name dot length property we should use. Again in this particular program, this particular assigning the elements, suppose my array size is 400. Should I need to use 400 lines to assign the elements? It's not a good practice. For that purpose, we'll go with one more case. Case 3. Assign elements into an array in the declaration step itself. So how we can able to assign the elements in the declaration step itself? Again, we can create one more source file. So you can just provide 3.java. We need to specify the main method. So now that is the case 3. What is the case 3? We need to provide the case 3. First, we need to declare. In the declaration step itself, we need to assign the elements. How means int arr of is equal to. Now we can start assigning the elements. We can assign 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. In this we can assign the elements. So in this we can declare and assign elements. In this particular line, we are performing the two tasks. We are declaring the array and as well as we are assigning the elements. Now we can read elements now. So again we can use for loop. You can use any looping statement. Just we are using a for loop. Int I is equal to 0. I less than array name dot length property, because length property provides a size of the array. So at any point we should not use equal symbol. So arr of I. Suppose I just execute this one, it reads element from the array. Okay, it reads all the elements from the array. Suppose in the condition if I can use equal symbol. So what can be the challenge? It will read all the 6 elements. At last it provides array index out of bounds exception. See, it reads all the elements 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. At last it provides this particular exception. The reason it doesn't have a, okay, which one? 6th element, because it stores element 0 to 5 only. So if we are using equal symbol, it is a good practice. You should use -1. So if you can use -1, it works fine. Okay. If you are using equal symbol, you should use -1. If you are not using equal symbol, you should not use -1. If you are using -1, you are losing one element from the array. Okay. This is the way we can able to assign elements in the declaration step and we can read the elements. The next case we will discuss, we will learn read elements from an array in reverse order. So reverse order means which one? So currently we can create one source file. We can create one source file. We can just provide 4. So it should contain the main method, because main is the entry point. The case number is 4. So now here we can start declaring the array and we can read the elements from the array. So this is the way we can declare the array and we can read elements in reverse order. Read elements reverse order. How we can able to achieve this one? Read elements in the reverse order. So for that purpose, we need to run for loop in reverse order. Int I is equal to, so arr dot length -1 I need to provide. I greater than equal to 0. I minus 1 is. So now if we can print the value, if we can execute, it displays the elements in the reverse order, which is the first element 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. In this way it will display the elements. The next one, the next case, read elements from an array using for each loop. So what the for each loop indicates? So how the elements are stored in a memory, in the same order it will read the elements. That is for each. Actually this for each loop is used in VBScript and or in JavaScript it is widely used. Instead of index, based on the index wise we can read the elements. Instead of index you can use this kind of for each loop. And this for each loop is made for to read the elements from group or collection. So there we can apply and we can read the elements. We can apply this one for array list, linked list, hash set, tree set. Anywhere you can use it. So now we can create a source file. So now we can provide case 5. Read elements in using for each loop. So first we need to declare an array. How to declare is the same code we are writing here. So now we need to use read elements using for each loop. So how we can provide for, what is the data type of each element? The data type array is int, means the each element data type is also int. Int we can just provide a variable name. In our case we can just provide val colon, what is array name? ARR. So now if we can try to print val, so it will start reading elements from the array. So suppose I want to read first half of the elements, second half of the elements. Those kind of activities we can't able to do it in for each loop, because here it is not running based on the index. It is reading the elements from which one, how the elements are stored in the memory, in the same order only it is reading. Okay. So now we have completed about these 5 fundamental cases in terms of single dimensional array. In the next video, we will try to do some of the programmatic activities on single dimensional array. Thank you.